Hello, this is Janet Morana, Executive Director of Priests for Life. Welcome to our program. Well, I've spoken about, of course, abortion and late-term abortion many, many times on this program, how horrific it is. And yes, it's happening. Healthy babies, healthy mothers. But there's another side of this. The despicable, they call themselves doctors, but boy, oh boy, that are damaging women and killing these babies late term. Well, joining me today is a pro-life activist, a young lady that I am so amazed by. Her activity and her desire to take these guys out of the business of abortion. Her name is Kristin Dorsey, and she works with a group called Survivors of the American Holocaust. Kristin, welcome to the program.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor.
Oh, it's an honor for me to have you. So, of course, like we said, late-term abortion does happen all over the United States in certain states, and we know where they are, and we know who the doctors are, and we know where the clinics are. But you've turned your attention, like several groups in the pro-life movement have, to the Surgery Center in Washington, D.C., where this doctor, Cesar Santangelo, operates. And I know you've been reaching out to him, trying to say, this guy, he shouldn't be doing this. So tell us your whole story of how you got involved, first of all, in Survivors, and then, what put you so focused on getting rid of Santangelo?
I actually joined this movement as a teenager. I was originally in support of abortion, but it wasn't until my own pregnancy scare from abuse that I reconsidered my position on abortion. And after that, I joined the movement. And although I remained an atheist and a progressive, I started to fight abortion. And over the course of a few years, seeing the horrors of abortion led me to seeing the glory of God, especially with these children that were killed by Cesare Santangelo. Their photos were shown to the world, and it changed a generation of pro-life activists, including myself, to just see their mangled bodies and their poor faces just absolutely destroyed from the horrors of abortion. And so, in 2022, when their bodies were found, it really changed my life. I came out to DC to start fighting for these babies. And then, I unfortunately had to go on a hiatus for a little bit. But when I came back to the movement, I was invited in warmly by Survivors of the Abortion Holocaust. And I really, really loved that they operate from two main principles. One, that our love of Jesus Christ should motivate us in everything that we do. And two, that we need to be on the street. We need to be doing the activism. We need to be getting in there, doing the grassroots efforts that are needed in this movement. And so I told them, I know we're based in California, but I'm really passionate about this specific facility in Washington, D.C., because I've seen what they do to children, and I've seen what those children can do to our movement and how they can motivate us. So they allowed me to come out to Washington, D.C. I started Survivors DC, which is a unit of our main organization. And we got to work right away. I moved here in January of 2025. And just in the last few months, we've done tons of work, which we're going to get into here today.
Right. Well, let me remind people that Santangelo also, besides all the babies he has killed, which are countless, there were 5 babies in particular that were late-term abortion that was a suspect of those babies were born alive, and then he killed them. And currently, their bodies are being held at the medical examiner's office. And I know pro-lifers, we've been having prayer vigils there, demanding, first of all, the full investigation, demanding autopsies, and then demanding the release of those babies' bodies for a proper burial. So bring us up to date where that piece of the puzzle is, because that is directly linked to what a butcher Santangelo is.
Yeah. Well, those bodies were found by Teresa Bukovac and Lauren Handy. 115 of babies were inside that box. They took that box back to Lauren Handy's basement apartment, and they actually were the ones that contacted the police because they believed that 5 of those children, like you said, were so far along and their wounds indicated they were potentially victims of partial birth abortion, which is a federal crime in the United States. So 5 of those babies' bodies were taken to the office of the chief medical examiner in Washington, D.C. The other 10 have been buried and they've had a funeral, but these other 5 babies have been waiting there for over 3 years now. And that just absolutely broke my heart. And it's part of the reason we started doing our campaign against the facility, because we knew even if they do an autopsy now, which I believe the current administration has said they will do an autopsy, I believe that it's been too long, and that even if there is one, it will be totally dismissed because of how long those babies have been sitting there preserved in formaldehyde and water. And so we started this campaign to make sure that it doesn't happen to other babies, but we're still hopeful that potentially we can get some information about how these children were killed.
Right. So now let's focus on Santangelo, the doctor. First of all, from what I understand, he's in his 70s, right? In his 70s, right? He's not spring chicken. He's been killing babies for decades. But he's also not in the best of health. So tell us about that whole story of you finding him going into the clinic. Tell us about that.
Well, Survivors does campaigns based on a principle called the weak link. And I identified Cesare Santangelo as one of the weak links for the Washington Surgery Clinic because of his age, the state of his health. And we figured that if we got our activists on the ground, we could push him into an early retirement, which now seems to be the case. So Cesare Santangelo has been doing these abortions for a long time, like you said. He's not new to this. And during the course of our activism, we were there for a month doing on the street campaigning. We saw him enter and exit the facility, and we were able to get video footage of him going inside with his arm in a cast, not able to hold his own weight up. He didn't seem to be lucid, and there were just many indications that his health was very poor. He couldn't even get in the door by himself. He had to be walked up a ramp. And then one of the facility staff members was waiting at the door for him with a wheelchair. And that was after local activists had gotten a video of him falling down the stairs in the front of the facility.
Wow. And I think he was, besides his arm in a cast, he was walking with a cane too. And think about this. How would you feel about a doctor coming in to operate on you with his arm in a cast? I mean, doctors need both hands accurately to perform surgery, and his arm is in a cast. It seems to me that would be criminal to walk into do any kind of surgical event with your arm in a cast. So now you have exposed this. And then I think in all this exposure, we found out that the license for this facility expired back in August of this year, didn't it?
Yeah. The Department of Health in Washington, D.C. actually sent information to a reporter with Live Action stating that the Washington Surgery Clinic hadn't renewed their license and it had expired at the beginning of August. But because of reviews left publicly on the abortion facility's Google page, we see that there was potentially the abortions had stopped even sooner than August 10th, and that they had stopped more closely to the time of our mission that we had done.
That's amazing. So right now, the clinic is not performing abortion, but they are referring to other creepy doctors that will kill late-term babies, because I know there's 2 clinics in I believe in Maryland where they kill late term. And I think there's another one in DC, right, Kristin, that kills them?
Yes, the DuPont clinic.
The DuPont Circle one. So it's nothing to celebrate like, yay, we accomplished it, but it's a path to victory. In other words, Santangelo is not currently practicing, and we're hoping they'll just take away his license so he just can't dabble back into abortion ever again. And we're hoping that this facility remains closed, and then we could train our sights on DuPont Circle and the other 2 butchers out in Maryland, right? I mean, we might as well clean up the act here on the West Coast because, everyone says, and where else? I hate to tell them, but there's some later term abortion facilities up in New York City and in New Jersey. So we've got a lot of work to do, don't we?
We do. And there's 2 things about that. So first of all, we have sent legal notices to the Washington Surgery Clinic, as well as all the organizations that their website indicates they're referring people to. And these legal notices warn them that if they are to refer to Washington Surgery Clinic, that they could be legally liable if there's any malpractice that continues to happen. On top of that, we've contacted the medical board, both in DC, where Cesare Santangelo is licensed, as well as New York City, where he also has a license. And like you said, there are late-term abortions happening there as well. On top of that, we filed a 14-page complaint with the DC Department of Health. Our lawyers helped us write up a really great complaint listing everything that Cesare Santangelo has done, his history of malpractice, and just the absolute disgusting state of his facility and why he shouldn't be practicing medicine.
Right. And of course, one of those lawyers is a great friend of ours, Mike Seibel. He's already taken down Curtis Boyd in New Mexico, another late-term butcher. doctor, calls himself a doctor. So I know Mike Seibel does amazing work coming alongside pro-lifers and guiding them how to get these guys out of business. So it's just amazing. So, of course, tell us about your website. And if people want to come to DC and help you out, tell them what they can do to help and get involved.
The best way to get involved is to go to stopsurgery.com. That is spelled STOPSURGI.com. And on that website, you can see all the progress we've made. And you can also sign up to be somebody who helps us continue the fight and make sure that this facility doesn't reopen. There's an interest form on our website. And there's also a call to action to sign the petition not to allow Cesare Santangelo to practice medicine. On top of that, survivors will be sending out updates soon about how you can get involved in the local area. Potentially, we will be speaking at public comment sections open at the DC Department of Health building.
That's great. Well, Kristin, I mean, I'm so happy to see young people like yourselves so energized and so like you're got your guns trained, so to speak, or your sights trained on getting rid of these late-term abortions. And that's why I told Mike Seibel, I said, listen, we got to end all abortion. That's our ultimate goal, because we know how horrible it is, killing a baby, hurting a woman, blah, blah. But if we can get rid of late-term abortion, that would be amazing, because, you know, the other side makes it sound like, oh, it really happens, and oh, it's this and that. And we know healthy babies, healthy mothers, and that's what's going on, and we got to put an end to it. So God bless you, Kristin, in the work you're doing. May it continue, and we all work together to bring an end to abortion. So thanks for joining me, okay? God bless.
Thank you so much, Janet. God bless.
Well, brothers and sisters, I hope you were inspired. This is a young lady who just got on fire to help end abortion, and you can too, you know? I mean, there's a lot we all can be doing. Everyone can be involved, because remember, there are some abortions only you're going to be able to stop, and therefore only some lives you can save. Join us again next time. Thank you, and God bless.
Hello, friends of Priests for Life. This is Astrid Bennett de Orduño. I just want to express my gratitude for Father Frank and Janet and all the staff at Priests for Life for the incredible support that I've received personally for the pro-life work that God has called me to. Over 25 years ago, I first encountered Father Frank when he invited people like you and me to be involved full-time in the pro-life movement. I didn't think it was possible, but I opened my heart, and thanks to the guidance and encouragement and support of Father Frank and everyone at Priests for Life, I was able to begin serving full-time to save the babies, bless the mothers who are in crisis pregnancy through my work at Hispanics for Life, my work at Los Angeles Pregnancy Services, and also now through EWTN, through the various shows like the March for Life coverage in Spanish and Informe Pro Vida, which is the Spanish language pro-life programming at EWTN Spanish. We're so grateful, and we thank Father for his continued witness that it is so important that we continue to be committed to victory, because we're already working from victory. Jesus has already conquered death through his cross and resurrection. So thank you for being a part of this beautiful work as well. God bless.
Changing our world is not a matter of wishful thinking. We have to participate in the process of making good laws and stopping bad ones. Your voice is needed. At stopabortionnow.org, you can sign up for email alerts that will call you to action when your lawmakers need to be urged to protect the unborn. These alerts make it easy. You will have the number to call and the message to convey. Progress cannot happen without you. Sign up for the action alerts today at stopabortionnow.org, sponsored by Pro-Life Vote